Hey everybody, how is it going today? Well, it's that time again, time for another TSNP update video. It's had a massive move up, but now it is starting to pull back, so I want to go over the recent price action and give you my thoughts. And then I also have some other nice looking charts I think have great potential to go up in the near future. And then after that, I want to get to some of your guys' questions. Now, if you're new to my channel, I like to invest and trade in typically lower price stocks and talk about all other things finance related as well. If that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any future trading or investing ideas. But please remember, I am not a financial advisor, so please do all of your own research before investing in any of these stocks. Alright guys, well, I'm going to get right into it. This is my TC2000 trading software, and this is the current daily chart of TSNP. And if we zoom in just a little bit here, we can see that TSNP has been under distribution for the last 3 days, but today it looks like it is trying to make a reversal. For whatever reason, there is finding a lot of support here, right around $1.25, so there must be some pretty decent size orders just hanging around trying to buy up everything they can find once price gets down to that level. Honestly, with this big of a move, I expected much more of a pullback. I expected it to come down to a little bit closer to $1, but for whatever reason, the floor is at $1.25, and it looks like it is trying to reverse today. But if we zoom out, we can see that it is still holding near the highs of this enormous move it just had in the last 5 days. So of course that is really bullish. There's just not a ton of selling coming in, or at least not as much as I thought. But let's take a look at these last 3 days a little closer. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. If we go to the 15-minute chart, we can definitely see that floor at right around $1.25, and TSNP makes a lot of these a bullish triangle consolidations, so it doesn't surprise me one bit that it's making another one. And if you look at all the ones that it has had in the past, what is the result? Well, the result is almost always a move to the upside. So Tesoro Enterprises might not be done going up just yet, believe it or not, even though this thing has been on a massive, massive run. But one thing that does concern me, if I zoom in a little bit, you can see on this pullback, there's been a lot more selling than buying, and some of the selling has been on much higher than average volume. Excuse me, doesn't mean it can't go higher, but I'm just saying that there's definitely been under some pretty decent sized distribution, but it looks like it is also starting to fade. You can put a trend line on volume too, and I like to do that every once in a while just to see when consolidations are getting a little bit more mature. I just want to see what side is starting to lose its momentum, and it looks like the selling side is definitely starting to lose its momentum. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit if this price busts through this trend line that is has been leaning down and it starts moving higher. So TSNP still looks really healthy, and honestly, if it busts through this trend line, that's another pretty strong buy signal on TSNP. So if you guys are still holding this, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if this thing goes higher. But let me know in the comments section if any of you guys took any profits up here at this level. I mean, that would be, you can still be a long-term buy and hold and do a little trimming here, and you know, try to buy back at those lower prices. There's absolutely nothing wrong with trading around your position. A lot of big institutions do that all the time. But just let me know in the comment section if you guys sold any, or if you're one of these people that are adding here at around $1.25, because there's definitely a lot of support at this level. And let me know what you think the next move is going to be. Do you think we're busting to the upside, or do you think this is a little bit of a fake out and we're going to roll back over? But let me know that in the comments section, guys. And right now, let me get into some other nice looking chart patterns. All right, well, the first one I want to go over is ICD, and this is one I actually bought. I actually bought it sort of by mistake. I tried to put in a limit order, but my Interactive Brokers trading platform always wants to revert back to a market order. So when I go to submit it, I always have to double check because when I put in the price that I want to buy it at limit, and then I enter it, for whatever reason, it always flips back over to a market order, and I always have to double check that, and I forgot this time. I tried to buy it at the first order I was going to put in was for 476, right around just above the 8-period exponential moving average, but then I figured I would raise it up to 501. But anyway, it bought at market, so I got in at 524. And if I zoom in a little bit, yeah, it looks like the low of the day so far has been $5, so I would have got filled. But anyway, I'm just starting to get unpissed off about that, so I probably shouldn't even bring it up. I don't even know if unpissed off is a word, but that's how I feel. But anyway, the oil and gas stocks have been doing pretty well lately, and I'm seeing a lot of momentum build up into these lower priced ones. A lot of these companies that were still hanging around, they made it through the really low oil prices. Their companies got pretty lean, and they learned to run their operations a little bit more efficiently, and now that oil is starting to move up, these guys are going to be more profitable than they were the last time oil was at these levels, most likely. That's something you might want to look into in each one of these specific companies, but that's the feeling that I'm getting with a lot of these lower price oil stocks. I think these guys are going to reap the benefits once or if oil continues to move higher. So I am taking a position in ICD. I think this one is building up some pretty nice momentum. It got a nice rounded bottom, and it looks like it's finally starting to bust out. I don't know, maybe if this thing pulls back down to the 8-period exponential moving average, I'll add to it. But ICD, I think, is looking super good. Another one I see in this sector is HUSA. I think I talked about this one before. HUSA is doing the same thing. A lot of these stocks were starting to bust out, but they're pulling back today. So this is a good day to be adding these stocks because I think they're going to continue higher. So you want to pull back. You want to buy on the pullbacks if you can. You don't want to buy near the top with a market order like I apparently did. But if these things pull back towards the 8-period exponential moving average, I think they're a great pickup at this point in time. Another one that I was looking at today was USEG. USEG is pulling back also. It's actually pulling back even further. This is the one I was actually thinking about earlier in the day, but one of my esteemed colleagues talked me out of it. And it's probably a good thing because this is probably the weakest of the bunch. But I still think if this one gets a little bit closer to the 8-period exponential moving average, it wouldn't be a bad buy either. But that would be closing near the bottom of the previous day's range, and that's actually pretty bearish. So I think I am going to probably not buy USEG if it pulls back to the 8-period exponential moving average. I would like to see it get a little bit stronger, but USEG still is a very nice looking pattern. So, I mean, this one could certainly turn around and start moving higher for sure. Another one I want to go into is AIKI. This one looks like it is starting to bust out of this little triangle consolidation, starting to move higher. And it was holding near the top of the day when I put this on my list, but it's pulling back just a little bit, but that's not a big deal intraday. But I think AIKI, and this is another biotech, so these biotechs have been super hot at the moment, and you can see all this volume that's been pouring in. So a very healthy looking pattern in AIKI. So that one is definitely worth taking a look at for you guys. And the last one I want to go over in this group is AKBA. So AKBA, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, Akabia Therapeutics. Even though it's below the 200-period simple moving average, which is one of my rules that I don't like to buy stocks that are below that 200. I like to wait till they get over it. But that 200 simple moving average is a long ways away because of this huge gap down, but it looks like it is starting to carve out a nice bottom and it is starting to move higher, and it is making a nice bullish flag formation right at the 8-period exponential moving average. So this one, I would probably want to be watching this on the 15-minute chart. And once this thing starts to round up and jump above that 8-period exponential moving average and hold it and start to move higher, that would be my buy signal on AKBA. It's a very, very nice looking chart pattern. My only disclaimer is it is below that 200 SMA, this yellow line on the chart, and I typically like to stay away from stocks that are below that. If I'm buying them, by the way, if they're below it, that's only when that is when I like to go short if I'm going to go short. But AKBA definitely looks pretty good. Let's get to some of the questions. All right, well, the first question I'm going to get into was from Tony B, and he was asking about BBI, and this is another biotech company, and I actually looked at this one a couple days ago when it jumped back above the 8-period exponential moving average, but I skipped over it, and that was not a good move because it has had a pretty decent move to the upside ever since. There's just so many great looking charts in the market right now, man. It's tough to keep them all straight, but BBI is looking pretty good. What I would want to see from BBI to get me pretty excited for me to enter it right now, you can see that this trend is kind of creeping a little bit. If it can come down and touch this support level, pretty much come back down, not creep back into this uptrend, but come right down to the top of this last high and then explode higher, that would show me that the trend is probably going to start accelerating, even though this trend is going up pretty good at the moment. But I think BBI has a pretty nice pattern in the works. If it comes down, tests this support area and holds that 8-period exponential moving average and starts to move back up, I'm going to be pretty interested in buying into BBI because that is a very nice looking pattern. And if it can find support at this support line that I've drawn, I think it's going to be poised to take off. So BBI, in my opinion, is looking super good right now. The next question I had was from Beauty Girl, and she was asking about one of my old favorites, AUMN. I actually got in this stock when it broke out right around 55 cents. But when it broke below this 8-period exponential moving average is when I took my profits, and they weren't very much. But I drew this. It was resistance, but it becomes support when the price gets above it, of course. I drew this back on the chart when it first broke through, and it looks like it found a support at it. Even more strongly at the 50-period simple moving average. So that was 2 layers of support, where I like to make purchases. When I find 2 layers of support on a chart, I try to keep an eye on it. Of course, this one exploded during the whatever that was that Reddit had. They tried to all group together to buy silver anyway. AUMN went up that day as well, and it pulled back to the 8-period exponential moving average, and it is starting to round up. So it is a really, really good looking chart at the moment. I considered getting back in when it jumped above the 8-period exponential moving average, but it took so long for me just to make this small of a gain, I skipped over it. But it looks like it could be potentially starting to accelerate because it looks like some of these commodity type stocks are starting to gain a lot of momentum, not just the oil stocks, but also some of the metals out there. So as far as I'm concerned, AUMN is still in a pretty healthy uptrend, and it's probably at a pretty decent buy area. I'd like to buy it a little bit closer to that moving average, but it's not that high above it. So AUMN, in my opinion, is looking pretty good. The next one I had was from another Tony. This was from Tony M, and he was asking about PYRNF. And wow, this one has had a massive move. Yeah, this one is super, super extended right now. I mean, it's a great looking chart. I've never heard of this company, Pyrogenesis Canada. I might have to look into that company and see exactly what they do. But man, this one is super extended. I don't know if I would be taking a risk at this point in time. Of course, it could still keep going higher, but the higher stock moves up, the more risk you are taking on because you are buying above all these other people that are potentially looking to ring the register. So If you are thinking about buying this one, I would wait for a pullback to at least that 8-period exponential moving average. I might even wait for the 21 just because it's so extended. But that is up to you, Tony. But in my opinion, it's pretty extended. And the last question I want to get to was from Chris Davis. That was the name of one of my really good friends in high school. It's a very common name, so I'm sure it isn't him, but he was asking about the GTBIF. Wow, this is a cannabis stock, I believe. That's why it's looking so good. And you can't be my friend from high school because he wouldn't have been smart enough to buy stocks. It's certainly not one that has gone up. But anyway, Green Thumb Industries. This one is pretty extended as well, Chris. So, I think I think this is a very strong sector. I personally would wait for a pullback, and like when something starts moving up pretty big, like a GTBIF, I like to wait for those deeper pullbacks if I can, like it had down here at the 50-period simple moving average. But you can see this trend is really starting to accelerate. And one of the things that I like to use when a trend is really starting to accelerate, if I've been in it for a while, I like to draw trend lines on it. And if I can draw 3 different trend lines where the trend lines are getting steeper and steeper, that tells me that usually we are getting close to the end of the trend. And you can see this one it definitely is getting. I'd have to move in a little bit closer to be able to draw that one a little bit better, but you can see these trends are really starting to go parabolic, these little trend lines that I'm putting on the chart. So honestly, if it was me, I probably wouldn't think about buying this one at all, just because it is it's going parabolic. I know in this market things are going parabolic and they're still going, but you're taking on a lot of risk when you're buying stocks that have already accelerated this far. But in my opinion, I personally would stay away from it, Chris, but that is up to you. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have for this one. But if you have any questions or comments on any of these stocks, please don't hesitate to leave them down there in the comment section, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed the content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss any future trading opportunities. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.